Hey YouTube, it's Joe the 50 something Dasher, and today's video is kind of going to be in two parts here. In the first half here, I want to talk about some more thoughts on DoorDash deactivations, more specifically with regards to content creators that are being deactivated. And it has some thoughts on that. And then the second half of the video, I'll talk about today's dash, which there's really not a whole lot to tell. Is almost kind of like a day off today, short dash. But so yesterday, what kind of led me to get on this subject today in this video was that yesterday, one of the big players in this space, a DoorDash driver who's a YouTube content creator, got deactivated yesterday. You know, pretty big news. And I won't say the name or get into specifics. You guys know I on this channel, I don't like to name drop. And number two, I don't know. I don't know very many details at all or any specifics. So, you know, I'm not going to comment specifically on this case that happened yesterday or any of the other deactivations because I don't really know a whole lot about those situations. Just from the little bit here and there, you know, 20 minutes of watching this video, 45 minutes of watching that video, you know, the little amount of time that I have to kind of keep up with stuff like this, which is for me working my 3 jobs. It's not a whole lot of time I have. But again, a big player got deactivated yesterday. Again, which led me to kind of do this video today and express some thoughts on this matter. I've talked about this before a little bit here and there. But just wanted to kind of reiterate some things and maybe throw in a couple, you know, new suggestions for like DoorDash and other content creators. Okay, so by far the biggest like issue here that I kind of want to touch on, I know this has been talked about before, but when we all see these deactivations happen from DoorDash, it's kind of like is instantly and out of nowhere as like a light switch being turned off. I mean, it's like just like that. I mean, the case from yesterday, the dasher even dashed in the morning and did some orders or whatever and logged off, took a break for a little bit, and then went to dash again in the afternoon. Boom, deactivated. And one of the big problems here that a lot of people have talked about and why there's like so much kind of like cause for concern is that the explanations that DoorDash gives to these people that get deactivated, there's really not like a whole lot of detail being provided. And there's a lot of, now I'm sure some of these drivers, if they're being real and true with themselves, they probably know the types of things that they were doing wrong, and it's probably no surprise. But some other dashers, they get these kind of vague explanations from DoorDash and they're kind of left guessing a little bit. Well, you know, maybe it could have been from me doing this or it could have been from me doing that. And another thing too that I'd like to stress here is, what exactly are we talking about here? Are we talking about, in some of these cases, are we talking about ongoing issues with a dasher and they've violated the terms of service on multiple occasions and we're kind of like leading up to a breaking point and enough is enough, let's, you know, deactivate them? Or is it in some cases you just violate the terms of service one time and then boom, deactivated? I mean, we don't really know. Some of these content creators had been very transparent with all of the facts as they know them. Like they'll, like the messages that they get from DoorDash, the emails that they receive, they'll show screenshots in their videos that this is exactly what DoorDash told me in their explanation. And I mean, so far, and I've seen this happen over the course of the last year or so. I've seen this happen multiple times, multiple GigTubers, and it's kind of like the same thing each time. It's just a really vague explanation. And then, and then there's you see in these other GigTubers that have been deactivated, they go through like the appeals process. And again, that's something where you don't really know, well, what all does that appeals process entail? Are real actual people taking a look at these cases and making determinations, or is this all strictly just a system thing that the system just deactivates you and a real live human being never weighs in on this? I mean, we just don't know. And I'd like to also say something here about just something even more broader and basic than that I was thinking of like last night into this morning. Something even more, like I said, broad and basic. To be perfectly honest with everybody watching this video right now, to be perfectly honest, I have no idea what DoorDash's views are, what their attitude is on gig tubing, like in general. I have no idea. I mean, for the whole time that I've been doing this, of course, I started dashing in December of 22 and launched this channel. It would have been September 1st of last year. And I just assume that it's okay to do that. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I have no real idea if it is or not. I just assume it is. Because soon after I got onto DoorDash, right around the same time, maybe even a little bit before, but I would get onto YouTube. I've talked about this before. I would watch other YouTube content creators. That's where I gained a lot of helpful tips, tricks, strategies, watched how some of these other drivers did things. It was really extremely helpful to me when my first few months as a dasher. And it's kind of like one of the things that kind of led me to creating a channel of my own. Because I feel that I could do the same thing, and I could, pass the knowledge along and be helpful as well to somebody. But like I said, to be honest, is that something that I'm just assuming that DoorDash is okay with that, with people driving, doing deliveries for their platform, and in turn create videos on social media where they talk about their experiences and provide details, even specifics about the orders that they receive and the money that they make and everything. And for me personally, it's just this whole time it's been kind of like a don't ask, don't tell type of situation. I mean, I just kind of assumed that because I seen hundreds of GigTubers on YouTube already, to the point that I got into doing this, I just assumed that, well, it must be okay, I guess. But I can tell you right now, with my W-2, it's a completely, totally different story. In my W-2, if I took my phone into work and while I was working, filmed some of my workday and threw up a YouTube video showing me at my W-2 doing my job and commenting on the work that I was doing at the W-2, and it was, thrown up on YouTube. Boom, immediate termination. Instant termination, probably before the video even got 10 views. Done. And like I said, I assume that with DoorDash it's different. That you can make deliveries on the platform and talk about it on social media. And that's why I do it. Okay, now to a couple kind of suggestions for DoorDash. I already talked about how on these deactivations, there's the reasons why are pretty vague. So, I think we all would like to see more specifics with regard to that. I mean, you've got, these dashers that get onto the platform, they do, however many deliveries, and, they're out there, grinding it out and, making DoorDash money and all this and that. And in some cases doing a good job, but not a perfect job. And they kind of screw up. Well, you've got a terms of service, a contract that's like, 500 million pages long and as detailed as it is. Yet when somebody gets deactivated, it's a really extremely vague explanation about it. So if there's any way that human beings could be behind this, that would be an ideal situation. If human beings at DoorDash could be behind this, and the system flags somebody for being deactivated, and then somebody takes a look at this, a human being, and reviews the case. Okay, yeah, so-and-so needs to be deactivated, and go ahead and pull the trigger, deactivate the person, but provide a more specific reason so that somebody knows. I mean, for some people, this is their livelihood we're talking about here. And to just get some kind of vague explanation, I really think that could be improved. And I think that could go a long way. And I think that could maybe reduce some of this animosity that a lot of people have towards DoorDash. If we can get some more transparency here is all people are asking for. Okay, and then another suggestion I have along with that is, I mentioned earlier in the video, sometimes and that's another thing, we don't know, are we talking about one specific instance getting somebody deactivated, or was there kind of things leading up to this, build up to this, and it kind of came to a head and the person gets deactivated? We don't really know. But I would like to suggest that if we are talking about an ongoing issue, like a series of events, I would like to suggest, could we have warnings given to drivers? Okay, let's just take me for an example. Let's say whatever I might be doing wrong. Let's say there's certain things that I say on this channel, for instance. This doesn't, come sit too well with DoorDash, and we kind of wish that he wouldn't say stuff like this and things like that, but yada 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 yada. Well, at some point, instead of somebody just a GigTuber just continuing on doing what they're doing and maybe doing some things that DoorDash doesn't sit well with them, and then just one of these days out of the blue they get deactivated. Well, couldn't there be some kind of warning first before we get to that point? So I can tell you right now, if somebody from DoorDash came to me this afternoon and said, hey, 50 something Dasher, just kind of let you know, some of your content doesn't sit too well with us. Some of the language that you use, we really don't like, for instance, it could be anything. When you talk about a zero tip order and you hold up your zero prop, I don't know, we just really don't like that or whatever. I tell you right now, right now, for me and my situation, my ability to get out there and make money with DoorDash, doing these deliveries, that's number one for me right now. That's my right now, that's my primary source of take home income, and that's number one. So if somebody from DoorDash came to me with any kind of problems or concerns or anything regarding this YouTube channel, which is not primary by any stretch, you just say the word and the YouTube channel's gone. I mean, if I got some kind of warning and it was between DoorDash and this YouTube channel, I'm sorry folks, but faster than you could even blink an eye, I would be taking this channel offline, delete the account, delete all the videos, and done, so that I could continue to make the money that I need to make. I don't want there. I don't want there to be the potential for me to get deactivated because of something that doesn't sit too well with the powers that be, whoever it is that watches these videos. Again, it would just not be nice to see like some kind of warning. And again, in my situation, if I was warned, hey, we just don't like your channel. It's not a good look for DoorDash. Boom, the channel's gone. But I'd get on here in like 2 minutes. Boom, delete everything, done, gone. Now, 6 months, a year from now, something like that, I'll be in a different situation than I am today. And then maybe it'll be different, and I could afford to be without DoorDash, and I could get by and everything. But like right now, it would put me in a really, if I got deactivated this afternoon, that'd put me in a pretty difficult situation right now. It really would. And this is why, like, August 1st of last year, that's not when I first got the idea to create a YouTube channel. It was months before that. And I kind of held off because I want to be the ability to be able to drive for DoorDash I want to be able to do this longer term. And I kind of held off last year on creating this channel by about 3 or 4 months, because to get me closer to, in the timeline, kind of closer to a point where I could risk being deactivated from DoorDash. Because if we're talking like a year ago, June of last year, I didn't want to take any chances whatsoever. So I'm not going to create a YouTube channel. I'm going to do my deliveries and stay quiet, stay under the radar. And I can't risk it. And then, August comes around. Well, okay, let me go ahead and start it, and I'll start making some videos, but I'll wait another month to start posting until September. And then September 1st is when I started posting the verse video. But I held off on that to, like I said, to get me kind of closer to that point where in time where a deactivation would not hurt me as much. Lastly, here, I want to give some important advice to anybody that's, DoorDash driving and they're thinking about starting a YouTube channel themselves. Something to think about here. We are always being watched by DoorDash. We're being watched. Obviously, when we're out there making these deliveries, there's the rules and guidelines and the standards that we agreed to when we signed up, and we have to abide by the terms of service. Otherwise, you're going to get deactivated, of course. There's certain things you can't do. Okay, so when you start a YouTube channel, or any kind of social media platform talking about DoorDash, you are now throwing on a whole new. There's already the rules and guidelines just for being a driver. Now you're throwing on an additional set of rules and guidelines for you gotta be careful and watch what you say or do about DoorDash on your social media platform, because now you're drawing that attention onto yourself by this new platform, and you gotta kind of follow the rules on that as well. Now that's a second area cause for concern, that you could get deactivated based on what you do on the YouTube channel. So you're increasing the amount of, I don't want to say it, the target's getting bigger on you, and you got to be. If you didn't already have to be careful to begin with as just a regular driver, flying under the radar, you have to be careful there. You have to be extra careful. Whoa, there goes my mic. You have to be extra careful when you're on like some kind of social media platform. So if you're in a position to where you got started with DoorDash or whatever gig work we're talking about here that you want to talk about on social media. If you're in a position where, let's say tomorrow you get deactivated, that app goes away, you can't use it anymore, but that's okay, you're going to be fine. Okay, well, go ahead and start your YouTube channel or, Instagram account, whatever it is. But if you can't risk it, if you need to get on with DoorDash, and make that money, and, that maybe possibly that's the only app you can get on right now. Like I'm still on like 4 or 5 waiting lists right now. I just have DoorDash and Uber Eats. That's the only 2 I have, and I'm on the waiting list for like 4 or 5 other ones. So if you're in a position where you can't risk it, you really need this, and you need to be able to drive for somebody and can't take any chances. But I would recommend not starting a social media account, to talk about your gig work. I would not recommend it. So, like I said, I'm in a better position now than I was a year ago today, and in probably, I want to say 4 months from now, 3-4 months from now, something like that, I get to the next level of my financial. I'm never going to have financial freedom, never, but I'm going to get to a little bit higher level here in about 3 or 4 months. So if I'm still in a position right now where if I got deactivated this afternoon, it would hurt. I'm not going to lie about it. It would hurt today. 3 or 4 months from now, we'll see. when that time comes. But anyway, so that's my all my thoughts, my rant, everything as far as DoorDash deactivations, specifically with regards to GigTubers. Now let's switch gears here. Let's get to today's dash. Start time was 5:52 in the morning. I went to bed super early last night. I got about I think like 10 hours of sleep. And I was still tired this morning. It's ridiculous. I started off with a few. I declined 4 out of my first 5 offers. It's crazy. So started off at, what time was this? 6 o'clock on the nose this morning. $8.75 Jolly Pirate going 13 miles out east. No. Then still waiting here at home for an order. I waited 23 minutes and got another beauty. $4, 8 Mile McDonald's. No thanks. That was going east again. And then wait another 27 minutes. The wait times are getting longer and longer. I wait 27 minutes for order number 3. $3. Look at this one. $3.50. 8.5 miles to Commercial Point. No, I didn't get out of my house for the other 2. Why would I get out for that order? Then what did we go? Another 27 minutes. So finally at 7:17, I get an order that I take. 10:25 Meyer going 9 miles. And this one isn't that great either, but I've been waiting so long, and let's go ahead and take this one. The 4 items, it was just one thing to shop for. It was these little tiny cans, the smallest cans of cat food. There it is, chicken flavored. That was it. Had this shopped in 59 seconds once I got back to that aisle. And delivery completed at 7:43. So what is that? This took 26 minutes start to finish, and I made $10.25 in 26 minutes. It is what it is. $8.25, $2 tip. Then I had another decline. I did all that driving. Of course, I had to come back to zone from that last order, and I'm like just getting back to Meyer area when I get a 11.75, 13.5 mile Meyer, 9 items going like near downtown. And I'm not doing this one. I was like getting off the exit. I was practically like next door to Meyer. So this 13.5 miles is all to the customer. Because I'm, like I said, I'm practically right at Meyer. So it's 13.5 miles one way, 13 miles coming back. No thanks. Then I get a string of orders that I do, just kind of like, string of small orders here. I get a $4 1 mile McDonald's. Okay. Went ahead and took that. That was going to the daycare. So pretty much like across the parking lot. That was a 2 and 2 order, so $2 or 2 minutes 2 seconds. Be right back at you. Then I got a $6 Dollar General 3 miles. Okay, 4 items. It was 2 Sprites, a Pop-Tart, and club crackers. Had this shopped in a minute and a half. And dropped that off. So how long all total? And they got the offer at 8:44 and dropped it off at 8:59. 15 minutes total. $6. It's not bad. $3.50 from DoorDash, $2.50 tip. now you can kind of see why today was almost like a really and truly like a day off. Um, and it was so slow today. I kept coming back here to the apartment to do like work on my videos and stuff. So I think I was home after that dropped off at 8:59. I came home, was only here for a few minutes, and at 9:11 got my next order. $5 4 mile McDonald's. And then just as I was getting to McDonald's, they stacked a $4 order for an additional 0.3 miles. So really the mileage didn't change. So now you're talking two orders, $9 for 4 miles. So pretty good. And dropped the $4 one off first. That was also 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Be right back at you. And then dropped off the other McDonald's order. Then I get so this dropped off. Okay. And then, so I get a $5 McDonald's going 6 miles, a little bit upside down. It was going down to Southern Point. I think at this point I might have been sitting at Meijer just watching YouTube content or being bored or whatever. And this comes across at 9:33. That's normally when I start getting slow. And I went ahead and took it. In about 15 minutes from there, so at about 9:45, the plan was that my wife wanted something from Sam's Club, which is actually in Hilliard. So at about 9:45, when I was going to make my way to Hilliard to stop at Sam's Club. But I went ahead and did this order first, dropped that off, and two of these three McDonald's orders didn't have a drink. So that was pretty cool. I mean, just easy deliveries. I mean, even with the drinks, it's still all in the same bag and easy, but it's, they're lighter sacks when they don't have the drinks on my day off. And then I made my way to Sam's Club, and I don't normally do this. I don't normally like drive out of my zone to go do some personal business or whatever, but usually don't do that. But I figured today, why not? During what's normally my slow time, and I wanted to stay logged in just to see, like, when I got to these other areas of town, if by chance I would get another order or offer in those zones. So I started out, I was in my in my zone in the first hotspot area, got on the interstate, I passed my other two hotspot exits, and then start traveling north, get past, West Columbus, and then go even more north and get up towards Hilliard. And I didn't get any offers that whole time. And what I did was, when I got to Sam's, I went ahead and put the dash on a pause and went inside there, got the item that I needed, come back, unpause the dash, and drove back home, and no offers or anything on the drive home. Really quiet. Got back into zone just before that lunch rush starts. I think I was pulling back into zone around like 10:40. So perfect timing. Went back to Meijer to wait. And I just sat there. I sat there again, watching some other YouTube content. I was just sitting in my car, and even normally my busiest time wasn't getting any offers. Just sat there, waited, and then I was about ready to log off when just before logging off, I did get one final order. A $3.90 3 mile Taco Bell. and that was going south. If that had been going like, closer to home or whatever, I would have took it. Even if it was a minimum $2 order, if it was going like to this apartment complex, I probably would have took it. Just did that one order and log off, but no, it was going further south. So I was like, this just isn't my day to day type of thing. So I went ahead and logged off. That was at 11:15. And so the Dash summary, I was logged in. I was actually logged in for 5 hours, 22 minutes, but only active an hour and 28 minutes. 6 deliveries for $34.25. So I guess, that's not too bad. 34 bucks for an hour and a half worth of work. It wasn't bad. I drove, so like I said, $34. I drove 70 miles today, which I went ahead and, my trip out to Hilliard and back, I went ahead and included that mileage into today's mileage since I was logged into the Dash still the whole time. And acceptance rate took a little bit of a hit. Started the Dash at 77%, went down to 73%, and now at 3,269 lifetime deliveries. And that is it for today's Dash and today's video. Thanks so much for watching. As always, be sure to drive safe out there, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks again.